Hey there folks, the Scottsdale Travel Chick sidekick here to present our ultimate visitor guide to Mazatlan, Mexico. In this video, we'll cover all the cool things you want to see and do on a visit to Mazatlan. Plus, we'll talk about how to get there, the best times to visit, the best way to get around, and more. And we'll show everything on maps, so it'll be easy for you to understand the area. Okay, let's go. First up, just a bit of background on Mazatlan. Mazatlan is a beachfront destination on the west coast of mainland Mexico and just east of the tip of the Baja Peninsula and Los Cabos. Mazatlan was founded back in 1531 when the Spanish took control of the area. But nothing really much happened here until the 19th century. And after World War II, Mazatlan started to attract some sport fishing tourists. Then, more mainstream tourism began to take hold in the 1970s with the development of Zona Dorado, or the Golden Zone, north of downtown, where many new hotels and timeshares were built. But only in the last decade or so has the historical downtown area also been redeveloped, and it's now being rediscovered again by many people. Today, Mazatlan is a large working city stretching some 20 miles up and down the coast. And although the tourist zone is relatively small and approachable, Mazatlan overall is the second largest city in the state of Sinaloa, with a population of almost 500,000 people. Finally, one more important point about Mazatlan is that it's cheap. Compared to most other Mexico tourist destinations, hotels are cheaper here, public transportation is cheaper, and meals and activities don't cost much either. Overall, you can feel that Mazatlan is geared a bit more towards local Mexican tourists, but it's a great option for gringos as well. So, what about the best time to visit Mazatlan? Well, it's fine to visit Mazatlan any time of year, but the best times are between November and the spring break period into May. During this time, Mazatlan is sunny and dry and has close to ideal temperatures, with lows in the 60s and highs in the 70s. The shoulder seasons are also quite nice, but summers can be difficult when temperatures begin to hover into the mid-90s and there's more humidity and rain. Unless you are visiting just for a day by cruise ship, you will very likely be flying into Mazatlan Airport, which is about 20 miles south of town. Surprisingly, there is really no direct bus route or routine tourist bus to get you to and from the airport. And Uber, Lyft, and other apps are available in Mazatlan, but they are not allowed to pick up or drop off at the airport. So, the best way, and really the only way, to get from the airport to your hotel is by an airport taxi or a pre-booked shuttle. We'd recommend simply taking the airport taxi, as they are relatively cheap, have fixed pricing zones, and use dedicated taxis with an airport logo on their side. Booking an airport taxi is easy, but you do need to know the process. You buy the ticket inside the airport to your right, just after you exit the baggage claim area. Here's a picture of the counter. Taxi rides are fixed price depending on what zone of the city you will go to, and will take you about 30 to 40 minutes and cost about 400 to 500 pesos. What about getting around once you're there? And should you rent a car? Our recommendation for renting a car is a pretty strong no. Public transportation options are plentiful and cheap in Mazatlan, and there's not a lot of places you'd want to drive to anyways. The Old Town area is best explored on foot, and the Malacone by bike, and it's easy to reach all the main beaches and attractions by local bus, Uber, taxi, or pulmonia. What's a pulmonia, you might ask? Well, I'll come to that in just a bit. But let's start by covering all your transportation options from least to most expensive. First up are the local buses. They are easy, safe, air-conditioned, and really cheap, so don't be afraid to give them a try. They cost only 11 pesos or about 50 cents to go anywhere you want to go. And the primary bus runs up and down the coastal road and has the name Sabalo Centro on the front. It runs from the Marina District in the north all the way down the seafront into Old Town. I'll mention another local option here, although most gringos do not use them, as you need to speak a little Spanish. They are called arrigas, and they are red pickup trucks you see around town with people riding in the back. If you speak some Spanish, they are worth considering as they're plentiful, slightly cheaper than the bus, especially for a group, and you can flag them down anywhere you see them. But for most gringos, after the local bus, Uber is the next cheapest option to get around. Short Uber rides cost only about $2 to $4, and longer 15-minute rides between the Golden Zone and downtown are only about $5 or $6. Regular taxis are the next cheapest, and they are colored either red or green. They don't have meters though, but operate on a rough fixed rate system, so just be sure to check your price before getting in and expect to pay about 10 to 20% more than Uber. Finally, Pulmonia are the most expensive option in Mazatlan, but they're certainly the coolest. What's a Pulmonia? Well, they're unique to Mazatlan and they come in different varieties, but you can think of them as a cross between a super deluxe golf cart and a topless VW Beetle. Fares depend somewhat on your negotiation skills, but expect rides between the Golden Zone and Old Town to cost about 200 pesos or about 10 bucks. And the Pulmonias are kind of a Mazatlan attraction in themselves, so you have to try at least one, right? Okay, with all that out of the way, let's get to the top things to see and do in Mazatlan. I'll show you everything on detailed maps, but to summarize the overall area, there are basically 4 zones to think about when visiting Mazatlan. The historical Old Town, the Malacone, the Golden Zone, and the Marina and Nuevo areas further north. Most visitor sites are in and around the historical Old Town and Malacone areas, but most visitors actually stay up in the Golden Zone or further north. So I'll cover each area to give you a feel for things. Starting at the northernmost part of Mazatlan, you have the Marina and Nuevo Mazatlan areas. It's still a developing area here, and you'll find the beaches pleasantly less crowded and you'll have things more to yourself. There are some larger resorts here, but everything feels laid back and slower paced, which is a good thing if that's what you're looking for. The 2 most popular beaches in this area are Playa Cerritos and Playa Brujas. And Brujas is well known as the best surfing beach in Mazatlan. There's not a lot of other tourist attractions in this area beyond the beaches themselves, but there is one, Mazagua Water Park. And it's a great option for a fun and inexpensive outing, especially if you have kids, as the entrance fee is only 300 pesos or about $15 a person. Moving further south, you next come to the main lodging area for tourists in Mazatlan, Zona Dorada, or the Golden Zone in English. This area has a multitude of hotel and condo VRBO options, with many fronting beautiful beaches. And here you'll have plenty of beach activities to consider, such as parasailing, trips to nearby islands, jet skiing, beach dining, just plain old relaxing, and more. The beaches here are wide, flat, and calm, so they're great for kids and families, and all the beach names simply blend into one long beach, which overall tends to be the most populated of all the beaches in Mazatlan. And it's a great place to just walk up and down and explore. Do you like the beach here?
I like it.
They're pretty big, pretty flat. We're in the morning, but there's a lot of people just chilling on the beach. This is one of the areas of Mexico, the seems to have the best casual beaches. Pro tip though, you might like this point or not, but you have to be prepared for multiple mariachi bands wandering around the beach playing for tips. In terms of things to do beyond the beaches in the Golden Zone, there is one main north-south road just off the beach. And this area is tourist central, with lots of options for dining, drinking, shopping, and nightlife, all up and down this main thoroughfare. However, most all the local and historical sites are further south, so just note that you'll still be about 15 to 20 minutes north of the historical downtown area when staying in this Golden Zone. Moving one step closer to downtown, we next come to the Malacone area. Mazatlan's Malacone is one of the longest beachfront promenades in the world at 21 kilometers or about 13 miles and links the Golden Zone area to the north to the historical Centro area to the south. The Malacone and its associated sites is one of the top attractions in Mazatlan, and you can walk it, but in our opinion, it's best experienced by renting a bike and riding all of it from north to south, which makes it ever so slightly downhill. And pro tip for this, rent bikes at Bicus Bike Rental, which has 2 stores at either end of the Malacone, so you can rent at one end and return at the other. The cost for a 3 to 5 hour bike rental is 200 pesos or about $10. Also, one key activity for the Malacone is strolling in the early evening as it approaches sunset. This is especially pleasant with local couples and families out and about, waiting and watching for the sun to go down. As with all the areas here, the beaches along the Malacone are front and center. They're a bit narrower than the beaches further north, but they're still a great place to relax, and bonus, you have some of the best beach seafood restaurants in this area. Pro tip, make sure to get your table before sunset to watch Mother Nature's free show. We don't normally recommend sporting events in our visitor guides, but the local Venado baseball team is quite popular here, and the stadium is less than 1 mile from the beach and very near the Malacone. Their season is mid-October through December, so maybe check them out if you're in town and interested in a unique local cultural experience. Between the baseball stadium and the beach in Malacone is also Mazatlan's newly completed Central Park. It's a large urban park with walking and biking trails circling a large lagoon, with paddle boats and kayaks for rent, a dancing, lighted fountain at night, cafes and restaurants, and it also incorporates Mazatlan's brand new aquarium and wildlife habitat. The historical Old Town District is next, but just a quick break here to say if you're enjoying this video, please give us a thumbs up, an encouraging comment, maybe even forward it to some of your friends, and please consider subscribing to our channel for more fun, informative videos just like this one. Okay, onward to the Old Town. Finally, we come to the historical Centro District. This is where most of Mazatlan's tourist sites can be found. It's possible to stay here too at some smaller boutique hotels and Airbnbs, but not many people do, and that's a shame as there's some really nice cultural options here, as well as some good dining and nightlife too. Plus, the beach and Malacone are just a 5-minute walk away. The unofficial center of Old Town is Machado Square, so we recommend starting your exploration from here. It's a tree-lined plaza popular with both locals and tourists, and it's surrounded by restaurants, bars, and live music at night, and locally owned small shops to explore in the daytime. It's probably best explored in the evening though, and we really enjoyed just grabbing an ice cream and watching people go by. And what's cool about this area is that all the streets have newly installed uplighting, which makes things feel really safe and also makes for some great picture-taking opportunities as well. Just off this Machado Square is also Angela Peralta Theater. Originally built back in the 1800s, it's beautifully restored and regularly offers well-known shows and music performances. Just a couple of blocks north of Plaza Machado is the Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception. This church was also built back in 1899 and recently wonderfully restored. Don't miss taking a quick stop inside to see the wonderful light show coming through all the stained glass windows. Two blocks further from the church is another Mazatlan classic, the Pino Suarez Market. It's still going strong as a locals meat and vegetable market after more than 120 years. But today it also incorporates its fair share of tourist stalls as well. Be sure to explore all the downtown streets in this area. We felt very safe wherever we went, and you'll certainly find a surprise or two as you wander around. One of them, just to give you here as a bonus, is called the Colored Houses. See if you can find them like we did. Beyond exploring the downtown streets, you still have that Malacone running along the beach here. And I've already mentioned it's a prime destination for sunset, but don't overlook the other sites on the Malacone. And one of the biggest is the famous Mazatlan cliff divers, who jump from a 50-foot high rock into the ocean for tips. They seem to jump less often these days, so check with your local hotel or a local on the best times to see them in action. Another cool activity, a 5-minute Uber ride away but still in the downtown area, is El Faro Natural Park. It's a small island connected by a causeway where you can hike to the top of a small mountain and visit El Faro Lighthouse and take in the great views. Fun fact, this is the highest lighthouse in Mexico and one of the highest in the world. The hike up is only about 3/4 of a mile or 1.2 kilometers and should take you only about 15 to 20 minutes. It's not long, but it is all uphill. First on a paved path, then up 334 steps to the top. The park and the hike up the mountain are free, but donations are welcome. Once you arrive at the top, there are great views out over the ocean and nearby islands, as well as back out over the entirety of Mazatlan. The views at the top are beautiful, and as a bonus, you can pay a small 30 peso fee to walk out onto a cantilevered glass walkway. The views aren't necessarily any better, but it's a cool detour for some great pictures and to support the park. This hike up El Faro is a great option for a half-day trip, and we highly recommend you do it while you're in town. Next up is Isla de la Piedro, or Stone Island. It's just south of Mazatlan and the El Faro Park I just mentioned, across the small water channel. Stone Island is not actually an island, but it's a peninsula. Anyway, it's a popular day trip destination which boasts a long sandy beach, coconut groves, and a few no-frills Mexican beach bars where you can chill out and relax. We'd actually recommend taking a group tour for around $60, as they tend to throw in a boat cruise around Mazatlan along with some food and open bar at the beach. However, it's possible and easy to simply do this visit to Stone Island on your own by just catching a local panga boat across the channel for only 35 pesos. Beyond these two day trips, there are not a lot of others which are unique to Mazatlan, especially if you ignore all the ATV, zip line, tequila tours, etc. However, one other option which seems to be popular is a short trip to Venados or Deer Island just off Mazatlan's coast. Some trips are by small boat and others simply take kayaks there from the Golden Zone beach areas. And this is Deer Island. Many people head out there for the day and then come back. And you can see it's really not that far from the main beaches of Mazatlan itself. In terms of dining and nightlife, there's a lot to choose from, so I certainly can't cover everything, but I will throw out a few ideas to get you started. I like to group Mexico dining into two buckets, choices which cater mostly towards tourists and others that are mostly for locals. It's hard to really find local options in the tourist areas of Mazatlan, but it's possible. A few dining options we can recommend in the Golden Zone area are La Costa and Diego's Beach Bar, which are both directly on the beach at the northern end of the Golden Zone. Fat Fish and Mary's are two other options on the main road. Fat Fish is not really Mexican, but it's quite popular with the expats. And Mary's is an inexpensive diner and patio spot offering breakfast through dinner dining. Gus Gus is one more choice along the main road as well, and we didn't go there, but it's always busy. And finally, try Taqueria San Pablo if you want to experience something more local. Moving to the downtown area, you have more options tailored towards visitors along with some higher-end choices. Three of the nicest options in downtown are Casa 46, El Presidio Cochina, and Topolo. Casa 46 is a two-story place directly on Machado Square, and Topolo and El Presidio are both nearby, offering upscale dining in hidden courtyards. We ate at Topolo twice, and we'd highly recommend it. And pro tip, they prepare fresh salsa for you directly at your table. How cool is that? One more option downtown, which is a blend of a restaurant and loungy space, is Water's Edge. It has a cool, hip atmosphere and live music on most nights. Finally, if you want to try something super local downtown, check out Hector's Tacos or Tacos Ramundo. Both within a block of each other and Mexican street food at its finest. Finally, let's touch briefly on Mazatlan's nightlife. We'd say it's pretty tame most weekdays, but it's certainly possible to find some good music options around downtown or in the Golden Zone. However, on weekend nights, Mazatlan really turns into a party town, particularly if you speak Spanish, with most of the partying along the Malacone and Golden Zones further north. For you party animals, here are 5 options to consider. Joe's Oyster Bar and Valentino's Complex, which are both near the south end of the Golden Zone or the north end of the Malacone, with Joe's being on the water and Valentino's being above it. Further north, you have 3 top late-night clubs, Club Classico and Privy near the marina, and Banksy Social Club a bit further south. Finally, in terms of the ultimate partying, consider coming to Mazatlan during their 5-day Carnival at the end of February. It's reported to be one of the biggest in the world, with a huge parade, massive fireworks, and a large portion of Mazatlan's downtown closed, with live bands and vendors filling the streets. Well, there you have it, folks. Our ultimate visitor guide to Mazatlan, Mexico. We hope you enjoyed. Did we miss any of your favorites, or do you have a special tip to share? Please let us know in the comments section below, and be sure to subscribe to our channel for more fun, informative travel videos just like this one.